The Flash 775. Jeremy Adams writing with Fernando Pizarro on the art this time, so not Deuce like the last several issues. I had no idea this was oversized when I sat down to read it. It's one of those things because I'm reading digitally. I'm getting to a point where I'm like, I feel this, and it wasn't because I was actually kind of enjoying the issue, but like I was at a point where I'm like, this feels like it's been longer than 20 pages. What page am I at? And I was on like page 27, and I'm like, oh wait a minute.
So is there a reason why it was oversized?
775. It's
It's done this a few times though, hasn't it? This where it's not had a backup and it's just kind of been longer.
Yeah. And no, it's not super size. It's annual sized at best. It's not, it's like 40 pages. And it kind of pays off something that the book's been building to, which is this sword's been flying through space, and like there's been sort of individual, just like getting Wally, back on his feet in the status quo. He's got a job now working for Mr. Terrific. He's got his family life. All this is going on. So all that neat stuff's been happening kind of as this has been building up. And then this issue kind of finally gets to it. And it's mostly pretty solid stuff if you've been enjoying this book, and I know not everyone thinks it's that great. I think it's been a perfectly solid, dependable book. Not like an amazing blowaway thing, but definitely a fun time. I do think Pizarro on art here is mostly pretty good. There's one or two weird moments, but...
Pizarro did quite a bit of Hawkman, right?
I think so, yeah.
I'm remembering the name right.
The first page, when you open it, is like, so this sword, this spear or sword is landed in the middle of a street in Central, maybe Keystone, whatever city Wally's in.
One of the cities.
Yeah, one of the twin cities.
One of the twin cities. You got a 50-50 shot at being right. So.
And Superman's there, and he's trying to pull it out of the ground, and he can't. So you kind of get like a Mjolnir or Arthur's sword kind of thing where it's not about strength because Superman can't pull it out. So Superman's trying to pull this thing out of the ground, and he starts getting kind of antsy about it. Like, he actually snaps at Wally, and he's like, I'll do this, damn it. And he's like, oh, this is kind of weird. And it's like, it's your first sign that something's not quite right, because Superman's acting a little out of character. And then Mr. Terrific gives Wally shit for not being at work, even though when he hired him, he made it very clear, like, I'm hiring you knowing you're the Flash. You can speed off and do other things when you need to. So it's like, okay, clearly this spear, especially since the title of the story at the start in the first page is called Beacon of Hate. It's like, okay, clearly this spear is spreading hate, right? It's making Superman act like a dick. It's making Mr. Terrific act like a dick. Wally somehow isn't being affected by it. But then we go through, and like the other people he works with are acting like assholes. He goes home to Linda for a minute, and she snaps because the cupboard doors have been left open. And it's like, okay, this is clearly something that's happening. There's a plot point set up at his workplace, which is the lab with the shielding stuff, which is going to come into play later, which is the only reason why I mention it. But Wally speeds off to deal with something, and Mr. Terrific starts fighting him. He shows up, and he's like, I thought I told you to get back to work, and he starts using these T-spheres to attack him, and he makes kind of like laser beam, like a circle of laser beams around him that'll block Wally from getting to him, and it's fairly fun stuff. And Wally's starting to put together that something's not quite right here. And when it cuts to the next scene, it's it's the Trickster, who's jumping on a giant whoopee cushion because he's going for this spear. And it actually starts to move for him. And Wally's like, wait, Superman couldn't lift it, but this asshole could? Like, what the hell? What's going on? And obviously, I'm thinking, well, is it because it's like an evil thing, so only villains can move it? Like, you have to have hate in your heart or something?
It's like the opposite of Mjolnir.
It's like the opposite, basically. And then the very next page is a 2-page spread of like a bunch of villains coming for this thing, and it's like Giganta's there, Ultra Humanite, Grodd, King Shark, Killer Frost, Dr. Light, bunch of villains. And so Wally kind of, we have a couple of fun pages of him just kind of fighting a bunch of them. Some of it more fun than others. I particularly enjoyed Rainbow Raider coming after Wally and being hit by a car right before he gets to him.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Which is a wonderful piece of art, though, because he's coming down this rainbow, and then you just see the car. In the next panel, he's like a puff of multicolour smoke, and the car's just kind of like there, like as if it's him. It's a neat touch. So Wally's like, shit, I need to try and like do something with this spear. It's causing, because basically all the civilians around him, they are starting to fight. Like, everyone's starting to fight. Like, chaos is spreading. Everyone's starting to like go absolute nuts. Wally has the idea to go back to his lab and get this super high-tech shielding that's meant to block certain things, waves or whatever, and he builds a dome out of this shielding around the spear to see if this blocks whatever it's sending out. And sure enough, immediately everyone sort of stops fighting and is like, wait, what the hell's going on? And the villains are all like, we'll be back as soon as I realise why I was here in the first place, because I'm not happy about it, and they leave. But then the dome immediately starts to shatter with like sort of black like cracks like up, because the dome itself is like pink, so all these black cracks look really kind of notable. And you see just like hatred is spreading throughout the city, like there's random panels from throughout, and then a giant light comes from the middle of this new dome that's been built out of black, and sort of basically hits the spear, and it's this alien from space. I don't know if Starbreaker, who he calls himself, is like a new character or some deep pull.
That sounds familiar.
The name feels familiar, but I don't know if it's just like generic enough that I'm like, yeah, it could be a thing.
Yeah, because Stormbreaker's a thing. Like, you know, that's immediately what I thought of when I read the word. Now, if he is new, it makes sense that he may just be a new nobody, given what's about to happen to him. But
no. So is he like an energy vampire?
He is an energy vampire. Yes, because I was about to make about 5 Colin Robinson jokes.
There you go. Colin Robinson. I'll tell you guys off air because I almost gave it a name away.
Oh sure.
But there, yeah. Anyway, no, he's been around for a while.
Okay.
Well,
not anymore, by the sounds of it.
Well,
this might be his last appearance.
Well, it's not so much that he's dead, but he is treated kind of like a quick chump for something else that's more important. But he basically comes saying, "Hey, yes, this spear is, this. I'm going to take this and destroy the universe or whatever. You're going to stop me from devouring," because he wants to basically suck in all the evil energy from this thing. And he says he's an energy vampire, and I just buckled because all I could think of was Colin Robinson and just him going like when he's like sucking in the energy of like making people be miserable. It's watch What We Do in the Shadows TV show, guys. It's really good. But so yeah, there's a bit of a fight with him for a brief moment, and sure enough, he goes to pick out the spear, and light comes from it, and darkness comes from it, like a bunch of different colors. And would anyone like to guess what this spear actually is before I tell you?
So it's a beacon of hatred that affects everybody.
Go on, Matt. Go on. You're going to do it. Get it.
Is it? Is it tied to the Red Lanterns at all?
No.
Eclipso?
No.
It's Eclipso. Starbreaker gets the Eclipso face kind of thing on him. It's not quite the classic Eclipso face. It's got a slightly different, more designed look to it, but yeah, it's basically he starts talking with a different speech bubble color, and he's like, yes, the whole cosmos will bow before the might of Eclipso. And then Wally immediately goes, this all makes sense now.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, all of this makes sense, and just sort of starts like bantering with Eclipso a little bit. Eclipso obviously is trying to like silence him, and he's like, "How dare you like mess with me?" So yeah, he's basically, I'm going to take over everything, and he flies off. He just leaves, and Wally's like, "Well, I guess I'll call that a win." But obviously, they've set up Eclipso's back now. He's in the body of Starbreaker, so. I do kind of like that the payoff to this spear that was flying through space for a few issues does have a big villain attached to it. It was a nice surprise when Eclipso popped out. I was like, okay.
I don't have time to catch up on Flash, but now you give me Eclipso, and now and Superman in the same issue.
I'm pretty sure I read they're going to Gemworld as well soon.
Yeah, I like Eclipso at Gemworld.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, I'm not super excited about Gemworld.
How's that not been done before? How's there not done Black Diamond stuff in Gemworld?
I don't know. But the issue ends with a cliffhanger. Basically, Dr. Fate's thing, portal opens up, and his hand comes through and just pulls Wally through it as Wally's grabbed the spear. And they're in what I assume is the Shadowlands, because it's just complete darkness. And Fate's like, "Flash, the fate of the universe is in your hands." And Wally cracks a joke about how his hands aren't his best feature, and the final panel of the final bubble of the issue is Fate just sighing. And that's the end of the issue. So it gets the humor of Wally. It feels like, you know, a big fun adventure that's going to put up Wally up against Eclipso, and a lot of what got us there was fun. And you know, it didn't feel like a extraneous read at 40 pages. I mean, maybe some of the extended action sequences with the villains and then Starbreaker himself, he could have been cut down, but they had 40 pages to play with, so they had some fun with it. I didn't necessarily feel overly fatigued by it, though, I have to say. The art's pretty good, though. I did kind of enjoy the art here from Pasarin. Wally's suit typically looks quite good. The only real complaint I have is that sometimes the emblem on his chest, like, it's not sticking out of the circle enough to look like a lightning bolt. Sometimes it just looks like a sort of like sharp S. People who have looked at the art may see what I'm saying there. And it's not in every panel. I'm just saying there's a couple of panels where, because it's not sticking out enough, it looks more like an S inside the shield. But anyway, yeah, fun with the issue. You know, I have typically been enjoying The Flash as a very safe, dependable book that's not necessarily punching, like, you know, in the upper weight classes, but
sounds fun enough.
I very much dug this. I would be tempted to even maybe stretch to an 8 out of 10 on this issue. So I think it's actually, you know, getting a bit more solid as it goes, which is nice. And I think Adam's voice for Wally's fairly solid. Again, it doesn't feel like he's reinventing the wheel. It doesn't feel like it's going to be like, oh, this is a run that you're going to have to recommend to Flash. But I think for people who want a nice Wally West Flash run, you know, it's a nice, dependable read.